What's up, YouTube? So, back for another video. Finally getting started. Ignore all the stuff you see behind here. I'm still working on the prelude. Like I said, I'm finally trying to catch the fuck up. But what we're gonna do is unbox really quick AF dynamic air intake system. And this is actually for a EK chassis Civic, which is actually what I think is EJ. Don't quote me, it's been a while since I've messed with the Civics. But basically 98 through 01, I think, or 97 to 01. Or no, I think it's 96 to 01, if I can remember right. 96, there'll be a Civic guy in here who'll probably correct me. But either way, for the EK chassis, all their intakes will work on the CRV. I mean, you might have to do a little fitment thing depending on what you get, but they'll work. As some of you guys know that follow me, I do have a cold air intake one on mine right now, converted to a short ram just because we get a lot of water around here. But I am actually going to sell that one. That's better for the cold air setup. And I'm putting the short ram on here because the short ram is going to be converted into the snorkel. So yes, I bought this twice. Kind of sucks buying parts again because I didn't think I was going to lift it, and I decided to lift it after the 6-inch kit came out. So buddy Ishmael bought my other one, so I had to buy this kit again to do everything, and then I'm going to be turboing it, so I don't even know, I may be keeping the pipe to run into another pipe, or we'll see. I'm going to have a buddy Andre probably do a lot of the pipes for the intercooler setup down the road. But excuse me, I just ate like a fat ass at a place called Blarney Stone. It was delicious, by the way. So Kyle, if you're watching, I hope your mouth's watering. Anyways, so we're gonna put this on really quick. We're gonna do an unboxing and install video on it. And this is a pretty nice intake for a really not widely known brand that I know of about. I kind of found them on eBay, and the fitment was great last time. I was happy with it. Yes, you're not gonna get a whole ton of power from a cold air short rim intake, but you will gain a little bit. If you don't believe me, go do some dyno testing before you open your mouth. Stop watching other people say things and actually do it on your vehicle on a healthy motor, and you'll see a little bit different. Is it gigantic? No. Some motors more than yes, because it depends on how restrictive the actual stock air intake box is. On the CRV, the intakes are actually pretty restrictive. If you don't believe me, go through them all, look, all the piping, do a dyno test on the stock one versus even a K&N drop in filter to cold air short ram setup. You will actually be surprised at the little bit of difference it will give you in throttle response and pickup in the already really slow CRV. You know what I mean? So any little bit helps there with that. And then in the long, of course, adding them with more mods and getting a tune, you will definitely see a decent bump on some motors for natural aspirated. Not talking about anything crazy like boosted numbers, so relax. So this is honestly the box and design. I was really surprised with this. I mean, you got the airflow dynamic. They put the top in it. I think this one, quote me, was like 80 bucks shipped to the door. This was not bad. So you get the little cardboard in there, everything. It's pretty nice. You know, you figure an eBay one coming from eBay is just going to be junked in a box, in a UPS box or something, or a USPS box with no instructions. I mean, you get instructions, you get decals, you get a promo card from them. I'll open it up. It even has heat wrap for the heat shield. Basically all your tools, everything you would need. I mean, they even give you, when's the last time, even with some of the other than like AM and the really big names, like when's the last time they give you the grommet and, you know, the vacuum T bracket that you would need for all the vacuum? I mean, for 80 bucks, guys, it's a pretty good intake. And here's my favorite part. So, well, here, first I'll go with the, I was just telling you to peel off the thing. So I'll open this up in a minute. This is the heat shield if you want to have it, which is pretty cool. Heat shield sometimes will make a difference. I'd rather do like a box. If I was keeping it short ram, I probably would do that and box it off. just to keep the heat out of there. But this is my favorite part. So it's wrapped really nice, and then it is a beautiful black finish. See if I can get that close, you guys. I mean, it's not terribly cheap, nothing. I mean, you can see where they sprayed in there a little bit, but honestly, guys, on the last one I had, I even cut this pipe right here, and it barely, like, it was hard to scratch the paint. I mean, you really had to dig into it. I think I hit it with a screwdriver really hard one time, and it did dig into it a little bit. But again, for $80-something, I'll put a link on here. $80. This is not bad. This is not a bad intake for a short rim intake that you'll bolt straight onto your CRV B20 motor. Now, if you have the 98 motor, the 97-98 motor with the more JDM style taller intake manifold, this will still work, but you're gonna have to angle it down a little. It won't look as flush and well as it does on the 99-01 motor. Just a heads up on that. And then here's the filter. They give you guys a really nice filter too, actually. It's just a cone filter and stuff, but just the design of it. I'll show you here. It's just like this really nice white and black that matches, and this nice white rubber that are, no, sorry, black rubber. It doesn't feel like the cheesy eBay ones. It actually feels like a nice rubber, a flexible but still durable rubber. The glue is really good on it. If you look in there, it's just a nice design for a cone filter. I mean, guys, for $80 for a bolt-on short rim intake for your CRV, technically for a Civic, but will fit a CRV. I mean, you can't go wrong with this one. There's a number of other ones you could get, but honestly, I bought some other ones, and for the same price, I think you get a pretty good amount here. So I would take a better shot, but I have a ton of stuff on my workbench. I've been so busy with projects and trying to catch up. So unfortunately, these next few videos will probably be kind of sloppy. It's just me being honest, because I got so much shit in the way. But here's also, so this is also a little heat shield that can go around it, and you, of course, you want to pull this white stuff off. This is just like a protective layer, basically. You pull it off, laser film, and then they give you this little gasket to actually molder in around it. And the last one, I molded it all around it and just hit it with a little bit of a heat gun, and it's still on there to the day, actually, when I gave it to Ishmael. So pretty decent shield. It just goes around your filter on top, like so, and then basically you would put the crimp around it, and then bam, you can turn it wherever, how you want to face everything. I won't be using it because it's not going to be on there very long in a short rim intake anyways, by the time I do everything. I really don't see a need to open this up and go through the hardware with you guys. If you guys have ever put on a cold air intake, I'm sure you'll know. Now, when I do the install video, I'll show this. So if you guys are interested, stay tuned for the install video. And last but not least, let's look at the goodies here. And see, what I love is, I mean, even if you're a first timer with this, you know, there's always that person first time putting on the intake. I remember the first time I put on the intake, I was like, this is the shit. It was fun. You know what I mean? You get a Dear Buyer card, basically telling you about their website and everything. You get two actually really nice decals. In fact, I still have this one on my chassis from when I originally had it, before I even put the other intake on. So it's not terrible quality stuff, guys. Just because it's on eBay doesn't mean that you can't just go to their website or other legitimate sites and order it too. It just was a good deal to there at the time. Sometimes they're higher price, sometimes they're not. You gotta look. Basically, instructions. You know, I mean, I don't really need them with this, but for your first time, you may need it, depending how you want to do. If you want to put the bracket, you want to put everything up. This is good. You know, this gives you pretty much an accurate description on how to install the intake. And then this is the thermal basically like the thermal wrap that goes around the heat shield. So you have this to basically go around the heat shield, and that will help you absorb the heat and keep the heat off the filter, hopefully. And you know, that's kind of the theory and the setup that they're going for with the heat shield if you want to use that. Again, I won't be using it this time, but heat shield does come in handy for other things, so who knows, I may use it on another car, another time. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it on the intake. I wish I had more room to do a really nice video and really show it, but I will do this really quick. Basically show you how it's sitting on there with the filter. So when it's on your motor, man, look at it, it's just a nice short pipe. And actually, if you don't smash the filter up too long, too far against the pipe, this sits right over in the corner, all the way against the firewall, really nice for your intake. So it's actually as far as it can go while still being under the hood and not in the fender well, and instead of right over by the transmission or by the header, which I think is the dumbest thing you can do. It's almost worse than, I mean, at that time, keep the stock intake on, but basically this pushes it all the way over. It looks really good, looks really clean. You're gonna get a little bit of better noise. My opinion, better throttle response, a little bit more power. I have dynoed mine too, and it did increase power. The exact numbers, I'd have to go up and look. It was only like 3 to 5 or something like that. It was where they quoted it at without a tune and everything. So I mean, it was within those numbers. Now don't believe all the ones you're gonna get on eBay. They'll be like 25, 38.5 extra horsepower, blah blah. You're not gonna get that without an intake, exhaust, a good flowing header, a tune, possibly a fuel pressure regulator, and even then you might not get lucky. But again, some stock motors, their setup are so restricted, you will see that, and possibly some better with a good tune. So, just take those numbers with a grain of salt. Don't believe you're going to get them just from bolting it on, one mod. But you will get some better throttle response and a better sound. It's going to sound good, especially if you have an exhaust and a header with it combined. Just the tone it seems to give. I've always liked on at least a lot of the Honda motors, even other vehicles I've had and done intakes to. But I just want to do this because I've had a lot of questions in the past about this. And again, this is AF Dynamics short ram intake. This is not a cold air intake. So that drives me nuts too. I get a lot of people, where'd you get your cold air? I don't have a cold air, I have a short ram. This is a short ram. Short ram stays in the bay. Cold air breathes cold air from outside of the engine bay. So you do not have a cold air intake unless your filter is mounted somewhere out of the engine bay. And then if you have a hood scoop or some type, that is called a ram air. So ram air is where the hood it's coming through a type of scoop and going straight into the filter. That is different from a cold air intake. Cold air is designed to be outside, fender well, bottom of the engine, somewhere outside of the engine, some way in the wheel well. Whereas a short ram is still inside the engine bay and is usually an open filter or a type of boxed off, semi-boxed off filter. And then a ram air is, again, if you have a hood scoop or some type of nostrils or an open headlight, that would be considered ram air. So there is different functions and names. So, if you want to do your research, just like on a 4-cylinder, it drives me nuts. There's not headers, there's a header. On a 4-cylinder, there's only one header, not headers. So, terminology, guys. If you're asking me questions, it's going to come to me as terminology. I'm going to want to know what you're talking about, because I've had several videos with several cars of my own, not to mention friends, and if I get asked a question and it's like, hey, what headers was on that car, I'm gonna go think, hey, they're talking about my buddy's V6, V8, V12, whatever I'm looking at, whereas a 4-cylinder, hey, what header do you have? So same thing with the intake. Know your style of intake. It helps, especially when you're searching. It will help with your search on trying to find the style of intake you need. So I'm going to be done with that. I'm going to do an install video here in just a second. We're going to take the old one off, put the new one on, and we'll do that on a separate video because this one's already 15 minutes. All right, YouTube, thanks a lot.